There we are. Should be live now on Jewman Show post PURIM. Beautiful, beautiful. And we can get started. Welcome to our March 6th edition of the Jewman Show. Again, I'm sorry for my absence last week. Academics did not permit, but here we are again on a beautiful, beautiful Friday evening, welcoming in the Sabbath with a new Jewman Show. This week we had PURIM, the lovely, wonderful holiday of PURIM. It is not a Torah holiday, not mandated by our holy texts, but it is a long, long storied, one of the, in my opinion, most fun Jewish holidays. It has a lot of tradition around it, lots of tradition, ranging from a whole night of study, of Torah study, Talmud study beforehand, to getting very, very, very drunk the day of. We are commanded as well to hear the Megillah, the text of PURIM, both in the night and in the morning. You can't. There may be a tradition that tries to split the difference, and you perform it right as the sun is setting. But in my experience, I've just attended 2 different Megillah readings for the morning and the evening. And apart from that, and on a more exciting note, Hamantaschen. My YouTube viewers will see the post I made with my Hamantaschen. They came out pretty deformed this time around, but they taste very, very good. And I have a few of them with me here in the studio. I don't have a beverage on hand, but we have Hamantaschen, and that's nearly as good. I put fig in them. It's a favorite of mine. The other tradition, one that unfortunately I did not get to participate in this year, is the PURIM Spiel. It's thought to have been, I know, a predecessor to the Feast of Fools, which has its own lineage in Halloween and whatnot. The PURIM Spiel is a satire performance of the Megillah, of the story of Esther. And it's there are lots of ways you can do it. At one shul I attended, they had a different theme for it every year. They would theme it after different decades. So you had the 60s satire play and the 70s and whatnot. And those were great fun. I didn't get a chance to participate this year, but it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Then, apart from that, what is there apart from that? Not a lot. Last week was the Golden Calf. It's a shame that I couldn't cover the Golden Calf, but big ka-thump. Something's galumphing around the studio here. I did not get a chance to talk about the Golden Calf. I do mention it in my YouTube, in my video, first video up on my channel. The second one, speaking of, work has accelerated. The review of the new David is coming right along. But I did not get to talk last week about the Golden Calf, and that's a great shame because it's one of my favorite parshas. Even so, in an hour time slot, I couldn't have done it justice. There's so much commentary that goes into the Golden Calf. I'm personally very partial to the idea that the Golden Calf was not actually a pagan deity that the Israelites were worshiping, but instead it was just a representation of God because they had been using Moses up to that point. But since he was on the mountain, they needed something to channel their worship through, and so they create the Golden Calf. And God is just so indignant, again, in my reading of the text, that they have conflated him with these other local gods, because the calves and cattle in general were a symbol of divines in the region, that he gets angry anyway. But again, lots more to say on the Golden Calf, and it's a great, terrible shame that I can't speak on it more. But we are moving right along with this week's Parsha. Ooh, excuse me. And I will give it to you in just a moment. Lovely. Now, this week's Parsha. Here we are. Parshat Vayachel Pekudei. It concludes the book of Exodus. We are ending the book of Exodus. Up to this point, lots of our adventure, our romp through the escape from Egypt has been to do with the tabernacle. Of course, there is the intermission of the golden calf, but like I said 2 weeks ago, the chronology of when the golden calf fits in with the commandments around the building of the tabernacle, there's some debate about it. I side with the radicals who do not believe that it is told chronologically, who do not believe that the events in the Torah happen in the order they're said necessarily. But if you want to know more about that, I have the VOD up from the stream 2 weeks ago, and you can give it a look. That's my... Here we are. We will go again linearly through the text. I won't be reading too many quotes of it. I know I sort of played with the idea 2 weeks ago of reading out the whole thing, but we won't be doing that. We'll only be reading out the verses with commentary, and with commentary that I can talk about. But with that said, Exodus 35:1. Moses then convoked the whole Israelite community and said to them, "These are the things that the Lord has commanded you to do." And let me double check what my translation is on Safaria. Yes, Safaria, I want to change the translation. What am I on? This is Revised JPS. That's a good edition. We can work with the Revised JPS. Whatever is the furthest from the King James Bible, as viewers of the channel will know. We have a few commentaries on this. Again, Rashi, the goat Rashi for the stupid Passover children out there. Rashi explains that Vayakel, assembled, is related to the word kahal, congregation. This is something you'll see a lot in Hebrew. That words, if a word sounds similar, oftentimes there is sort of some relation, or at least the commentary will try to draw some sort of relation. I'm no linguist. I can't speak to whether that's like an established concept in the study of language. But that sort of comparison, those lines that you draw are part of the toolkit of being a Torah scholar, which I do not claim to be. I have not attended any rabbinical school, but the whole sort of discipline of it is a bit of everything, right? You have a bit of history, a bit of theology, a bit of linguistics. That's the concoction to make a good scholar of the material. Hello to my wonderful moderators in my YouTube chat. And anyway, Rashi says that these two words are related. Moses gathered all of Israel on the day after Yom Kippur when he descended from Mount Sinai with his tablets, the second set of tablets after he broke the first in a feat of great strength, really. Like big granite slabs, breaking those over your knee. It's impressive. This assembly was necessary because important commandments were transmitted. The law of Shabbat. We get the laws of Shabbat transmitted through these plates. Well, we get a lot of laws. These are the plates with 613 commandments, or not so many, depending on your strain of belief. But these are the plates with lots and lots and lots of commandments on them, with all the facets and the components of the law that you believe came at this point, but many of them. That's the idea. Ramban Nachmanides points out the significance of the assembly, that this assembly is a great reconciliation after the golden calf, that we've, in practice, sort of made up for the golden calf. This is our debrief. The golden calf has been destroyed. All of the punishment and retribution has been carried out. So here we are, getting together, agreeing we are not going to do that again. And now they do more or less end up doing it again. Pagan facets of belief, by the opinion of both the Torah, the Tanakh, and archaeology and the discipline of history, agree that pagan belief systems will infiltrate Judaism throughout the time, though by the historical opinion, it's more that it starts out very pagan and then becomes less pagan as time goes by. Now, that's Ramban's opinion. Again, some very simple, very straightforward commentaries so far. That's Rashi's job. Nachmanides is helping out, building a little more. No great disagreements on this verse. Then, moving right along to now, Exodus 35, 2-3. On 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day, Shabbat, you shall have a Sabbath of complete rest. Holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. Whoa. I can provide a fairly confident assurance to the audience. That's not what you're supposed to do. Now. I don't know. Comment if you want me to kill someone for working on Shabbat. But anyway, whoever does work shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your settlements on the Sabbath day. That again is something that's not. Well, no, even that depends. If you go into an Orthodox household in the modern day, you will see that they have plastic covers over all of their light switches, so that on the Sabbath they can be prevented from even like accidentally bumping into them. I'm sure there's probably some more specific function. I don't know. Not being Orthodox, I don't know all of the trappings of Orthodox Jewish products, and there are many because the kosher laws and then the law in general is interpreted strictly enough that you only want to get anything of what you have from a Jewish company or a company that carries some assurance of Jewishness in its manufacture. And so they, in a more figurative sense, that's lighting no fire. You could also take the more explicit interpretation and say, well, I'm not lighting any actual fires, I can turn on light switches. But it is the Orthodox opinion that you cannot take any specific action to activate an electronic signal. In the great state of Arizona, and I've seen this in Texas as well, among Orthodox Jewish communities, they will have, in places where car infrastructure is dominant, and so you're crossing a lot of roads to get to your synagogue on the Sabbath. They will have motion-activated street lights, because in those car cities, right, it's like button activated or whatnot, because the emphasis, the focus is the traffic, not the pedestrians, and they will have motion-activated street lights or traffic lights, because the motion activation is considered acceptable, but any other form of like you can't press a button, you can't flick a switch. I think that comes from specifically kindling. You're not kindling a fire. If you are performing a specific action that abets some other specific electronic function, that's kindling. But if it just happens coincidentally, then not really. Rashi says speaks on why the Sabbath commandment is mentioned here immediately before the instructions for building the tabernacle. Teaches that, in his opinion, even the sacred work of constructing God's sanctuary does not override the Sabbath. The assumption being, while building the tabernacle, even with all the enthusiasm we see that we saw 2 weeks ago, you are still not supposed to become so enthusiastic that you violate the Sabbath to build it. The Talmud derives the 39 categories of forbidden work on the Sabbath from the types of labor involved in building the tabernacle. There are 39 categories in the Talmud, Shabbat 49b, of work you're not supposed to do, and that has been pulled from the work people didn't do, building the tabernacle, the Mishkan, in that case, a taste for you of sort of how very interpretive Jewish law can be, and in some ways how very much like the discipline of history it can be, where we are taking the meta detail of these texts into account to try to interpret what the truth is, so to speak. In this case, what the correct interpretation of the law is. We have Rabbi Ibn Ezra on this verse as well, who explains that the prohibition is placed here to prevent people from thinking that because the tabernacle is holy work, it would be permitted on Shabbat. Again, the importance, nothing overrides the Sabbath. Rabbi Sforno, who we so loved 2 weeks ago with his wonderful, interesting, controversial commentary, points out that the Sabbath of complete rest, Shabbat Shabbaton, indicates a double emphasis. Not only rest from your physical labors in the day-to-day, but also a spiritual rest and an elevation. Me personally, it's for this very reason that I don't keep as strict a Shabbat as, say, Orthodox households do. Well, apart from the practical issues of how very difficult that can be in a modern world. It's also because I'm looking on a Sabbath for that sort of elevation. And it's part of some of the 39 banned labors include like reading and writing, these creative activities that bring me a lot of spiritual elevation that I feel like kind of enlighten and elevate me. But it's, again, those wider differences in opinion. Call me a Quaker Jew with my specific kind of personal interpretations of it all. But then we have the commentary on fire, a bit more of Rashi. The specific prohibition against kindling has lots of commentary. Like I said, Rashi cites two opinions. Firstly, this is singled out to teach that it is a separate prohibition, lav shebechalalot. Or two, it is singled out to teach that violating individual Sabbath prohibitions makes one liable for separate offerings. This was if you violated some part of the law, you had to perform some offerings in the temple to exonerate yourself. And so Rashi points out that the separation may be in place because there are separate offerings involved for violating one thing versus the other. The Talmud, again, Shabbat, this time 70a, discusses this extensively. Then Rashbam's commentary. Lots of commentarians whose names start with, or nicknames start with R.A. and end with A.M. Rashbam says, in practical terms, fire is mentioned because it was essential for the metalwork in constructing the Mishkan. The prohibition is stated to prevent any confusion. Again, the separation, the emphasis, you are not supposed to override the Sabbath just for the sake of the tabernacle. And part of that is you cannot metalwork. You cannot blacksmith on the Sabbath, which is it's an interesting point. It's a very interesting point. In fact, this is just an opinion I've formed just now. I really like Rashbam's opinion on this because in a pre-modern society, it would be very, very, very difficult to carry out a day functionally and efficiently and healthfully without lighting a fire. I would have to imagine that there's some practical allowance involved in that society. But I don't know. I have a habit of attacking the texts with these historical tidbits as though we're expecting perfect historical accuracy from the Torah, which we are not. Then we have section 2, the call for contributions. We've talked a lot about these contributions so far. Let me see what time I'm making. I'm making good time. Very good. We have Exodus 35, 4 through 9. I won't read out the whole thing, but Moses requests materials for the Mishkan. Rashi says, whoever is of a willing heart, kol nediv libo, this donation must come from genuine desire, not coercion. We've talked a little bit about this as well. This teaches the principle of voluntary giving in Jewish law. Even a poor person's small contribution, given with a full heart, is precious before God. Again, we've spoken on it. It is the voluntary nature of the whole thing that is very important, and that has all of the emphasis. Rashi makes these same comments in the Parshat 2 weeks ago, and we are a fan of him for it. Very good, Rashi. Thank you, Rashi. As always, the goat Rashi. The goat Rashi. Exodus 35:21. And everyone who excelled in ability and everybody whose spirit was moved of... Things are going terribly. And everyone whose spirit moved him came, bringing to the Lord his offering for the work of the tent of meeting. Again, Rashi notes that the phrase whose heart inspired him appears multiple times, teaching that the inspiration came from within. The Midrash Tanchuma explains that those who had sinned with the golden calf, a lot of people, were particularly eager to contribute naturally with all of the embarrassment that they had accrued, surely, looking to atone for their participation in that by helping build the tabernacle, which itself, again, 2 weeks ago, forgive me, was potentially sort of God meeting mankind in the middle and making a compromise, saying that, well, if you need a physical conduit of belief in the form of the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant, then I'll compromise with you. And moving on, Ramban's commentary, he emphasizes that the people brought materials. Okay, he says the same thing as Rashi. A bit of a pattern from Ramban on these verses. Moving on, 35:22. Men and women, all whose hearts moved them, all who would make an offering of gold to the Lord, came bringing brooches, earrings, rings, and pendants, which they were supposed to have melted. It occurs to me, to make the golden calf. So I guess did they just make them again? Surely not in such a short span. But who's really to say? Maybe one of the commentarians will have something to say about that. Oh, and we have a new face right here. We have Or HaChaim. But first, as always, Rashi, who points out the men came with the women. Literally, they came, the men with the women. This unusual phrasing indicates that the men came to ask permission from the women, or that the men encouraged the women to donate. This reverses the typical dynamic and shows the women's particular merit. They had refused to contribute their jewelry to the golden calf. There we go. There's the resolution of that. It's Rashi's opinion that the women did not melt their belongings to create the golden calf, which is an interesting point of him to make. I don't know how supported that is on his part, but it's interesting. I like it. I think that's a good explanation. I think that's a good way to point that out. I mean, in practical terms, we could just say, well, it's unlikely that they melted down everything to create the golden calf. But I don't know. We'll ride with the Torah on this point and hear it out. Or HaChaim, again, new face, exciting new character. Let me look up Or HaChaim. He has a very bouncy name, that's for sure. Or HaChaim. Oh, very recent. Huh. Chabain ibn Atar, or Chaim ben Moshe ibn Atar, also known as Or HaChaim, after his popular commentary on the Torah, was a Talmudist and Kabbalist. Ooh, a Kabbalist, very exciting. He's arguably considered to be one of the most prominent rabbis of Morocco, and is highly regarded in Hasidic Judaism. Beautiful. We get a Moroccan rabbi. Oh, that's beautiful to see. Oh, and we get his signature. That's awesome. That's awesome. I wonder if there's a way to show this on stream. I'm going to download this. Oh, and the file name is in Hebrew. That's delightful. Maybe I can just throw this on real quick onto the screen. Image. Can I just drag this in? Okay. Here we go. I will have to browse. This guy has an incredible signature. Maybe, and I guess I wouldn't know. Maybe somebody can tell me if this is typical of Moroccan script. But he has but it's a transparent PNG. You'll hardly be able to see it. Here we go. You can see it over the radio there, the Portal 2 radio. But he has an incredible signature. It's great. Here, we'll carry on. Or Chaim says that the Torah emphasizes both men and women gave willingly. The women's participation is especially praiseworthy because they gave their personal jewelry, items of beauty which they could have kept. This demonstrates that true beauty lies in serving in God, not an external adornment. That's, sure thing, or Chaim. I guess that's not... I don't know. I guess that doesn't strike me particularly, but it's a good piece of commentary. I think I don't know. In this case, I do favor Rashi because I think his explanation is interesting. But also, like every single time women are mentioned in the Tanakh, there's a commentarian who's going to make some comment about how women are others and weird in some way. I don't know. Difference of the times. But anyway, that's what Or Chaim has to say. And we're moving on to Exodus 35, 25 through 26. And all the skilled women spun with their own hands. What do we think the commentary is going to be here? And brought what they had spun in blue, purple, and crimson yarns and in fine linen. And all the women who excelled in that skill spun the goat's hair. Oh, that's interesting. Crimson yarns. Crimson... I'm forgetting if crimson is in the Middle East. I'm forgetting if it's a rare dye in the Middle East in a pre-modern setting. I mean the big ones, right, are the snail colors, the blue and Tyrian purple. But I guess neither of those are. I mean, it does say blue, so maybe we have special cloth in blue in this case. But anyway, very very exciting. Some wonderful, beautiful cloth, spinning of goat's hair. That's great. Rashi says, how many times are we going to say Rashi says? I have my notes here. A lot. We're going to say a lot of Rashi. I think from here on out, I'm just going to read. I'm going to read Rashi's before I read it on the air. I'm just going to flick through the Rashi commentary to make sure it's not. Anything uninteresting, because I've said his name enough. And here we have Sforno. I'm just gonna start. Oh, hold on. Rashi actually gives us a great point here. I'll read Rashi's. The spinning of the goat hair required exceptional skill because it had to be spun while still on the goats. Is that true? Is that true? Let me get the Zapatista Declaration of Women's Rights off of my desktop so I can Google if that's true. Zapatistas are goated, by the way. I went on like an internet rabbit hole about them today. They're awesome. Like the modern ones. I don't know enough about Emiliano Zapata to say for sure, but spinning goat hair. Well, I mean, the Gemini summary didn't help me at all, to nobody's surprise whatsoever. Is that... I get the feeling it's not actually necessary to spin the hair while it's still on the goat, but I'll give Rashi the benefit of the doubt and say sure. This is an extraordinary achievement requiring both technical ability and divine inspiration. Okay, Rashi, you can slow down. The Talmud, again, discusses this remarkable skill. Sforno, we love Sforno. Sforno notes that women spun with their own hands, emphasizing personal involvement. They didn't delegate the sacred work to servants, but performed it themselves, understanding the spiritual value of direct participation. That is interesting. I think there is an assumption, and I guess we have jewelry as mentioned before, so we can carry this assumption. But there is an assumption that when we talk about women in this case, we're talking about noble women and the wealthy, the big men, big women in this case of society. in these pre-modern societies, as it always works. In that case, that is actually very interesting, that they did not delegate it to servants at all. So thank you, Sforno, for that. Now we have section 3. This is, we get 2 chapters now, 27 through 29, and 36, 2 through 7. This is all very exciting. And 3 through 7, the people bring more than enough, is sort of the idea. I guess we've talked about a lot of this. Again, 2 weeks ago, Rashi talking about how, this is amazing. After the golden calf, Ibn Esra notes the practical wisdom of stopping the donations. There's no virtue in waste. Kli Yakar, another new face. Kli Yakar sees deep symbolism. When people give to God from a pure heart without limit, God says, "Die, enough, it's sufficient." This parallels the name Kel Shaddai, interpreted as he who says die to his world. Just as God set boundaries for creation, he sets boundaries for human giving, teaching moderation even in holiness. That's actually really funny. One of the, I think that's, one of the names of God. If you were the supreme being, if you were the demiurge, would you want a name that says, would you want your title to be the one who says stop to his world? The one who says please stop. But anyway, moving on. And, there's a midrash. There's a midrash here, referenced in commentaries. Midrash teaches that women's refusal to participate in the golden calf earned them the reward of celebrating Rosh Chodesh. That's true. That's true, Chip 8167. I wish women were real. That'd be awesome. It's a shame they're a government psyop. The Midrash teaches that women's refusal to participate Rosh Chodesh, the new moon, is a semi-holiday, and their generous contribution here demonstrates their spiritual superiority. Again, that kind of language, with them being so faithful and such good housekeepers, as to be expected from these things. But we carry on because now we have the master craftsman in section 4. And Moses said to the Israelites, 38 through 31, "See, the Lord has singled out by name Bezalel. He has endowed him with a divine spirit of skill, ability, and knowledge in every kind of craft." This is interesting. So God has picked a guy, and I guess when I read this, I think, he just picked a guy, like nobody knew who he was. And the Lord picked a guy, and he said, "You have the most powerful autism in this community." And the guy said, yes, sir. Yes, king. And he got to work. Rashi says the divine spirit means wisdom. God granted Bezalel supernatural insight to understand the deep mystical significance of the Mishkan's design. Ooh, interesting. So, I guess in that case, God is not giving him special power. God is just making him aware. God is making him media literate. God made Bezalel media literate. That's what he did. Ramban says Bezalel possessed 3 levels of wisdom: Chokhmah, theoretical knowledge; Tevuna, analytical understanding; and Da'at, practical application. He had the whole package. These parallel the 3 highest Sefirot in Kabbalah. There we go, Jewish mysticism making another appearance. Bezalel's work was not merely technical, but spiritual. Then Exodus 35, 34. We were moving on from Bezalel, which is actually a shame, because hold on. Ooh, this is interesting, actually. I don't know. I should look into Bezalel later. I really like that. I think that's interesting. Exodus 35:34. And he has endowed him and Oholiab, son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, with the ability to teach. So God has it has endowed these people not only with great skill, but the ability to teach others. I guess the point of Aholiab is interesting here. What is he teaching? Is he just a teacher? He's very good at teaching whatever? Because with Bezalel, I would assume, he's given the ability to teach so he can pass on the special knowledge he has. But what does Aholiab have? What is Aholiab teaching? Which is interesting. Rashi glazes Bezalel. Fair enough. Bezalel seems cool. You go, Rashi. You go, Bezalel. Sforno says that Sforno makes a distinction between teaching ability and personal skill. You can be talented but can't transmit knowledge. And we have a Talmud comment. When Moses told Bezalel to build the vessels before the tabernacle structure, Bezalel questioned this order. Suggesting it's more logical to build the house first than the furniture. Moses acknowledged Bezalel's wisdom, saying, "You were in God's shadow, Betzalel, and knew the proper order." So that's actually very interesting, because that would indicate Bezalel has more divine insight than Moses in this particular field, which is very exciting. I'm running pretty short on time here. This is this is very long. This is a terrifically long parshat. Man, this goes on for ages. Huh. Well, there we go. I say that like I'm going to stop. I'm not, but I probably don't have enough time to get through the entire thing, which is unfortunate. But now we have the... but here, I'll move on to kind of the meta commentary on the whole thing. First off, lots, of course, said about the juxtaposition of the Sabbath and the construction of the Mishkan. The Talmud in Tractate Shabbat 49b has its labors. The Maharal. Safaria, tell me what the Maharal is. Oh, it's a Prager rabbi. Moshav. Oh, that's amazing. Yes. More Prager rabbis, please. Waiter. More Prager rabbis with good commentaries. I love what they have to say. The Maharal explains the Mishkan represents our attempt to draw God into the physical world through our actions. Again, this is what I was saying about, not me originally, but that's my theory. This is what I was saying about the tabernacle in the first place. That in the absence of the golden calf, God was compromising and said, okay, you will have a physical conduit. It would not be so debasing to me, God, as the golden calf was. I'm reclining now. It's not even Passover and I'm reclining. Move the microphone closer to my head. I've been actually I need to get shrimp checked when I do this show. I've been in an unfortunate stance. My posture has been very bad. There we go. Golden calf and the Mishkan. Of course, lots of relationship between these. Tanchuma. Ramban, we talked a bit about how Ramban has this theory that there are kind of levels of divine proximity, and that it capped out, it peaked at Sinai, on the peak of Sinai, and that it was lost after the golden calf. The golden calf was this great debasing in so many ways, this among them. And Ramban thinks that it is the construction of the tabernacle that rectifies this and brings everybody back to the level of Sinai. And that's the point of the tabernacle. Again, 2 weeks ago, the purpose of the tabernacle is to be a portable Sinai. Sinai in a box, Sinai in a wagon, Sinai in in the Holy of Holies and in the Ark of the Covenant. That is the idea. We also we have many appearances of the number 7. Sorry, I'm slower now. I'm not as on the ball with these larger commentaries. Safari is wonderful in that you can just have a little sidebar and you can see the commentaries for your specific verse that you're on. But with the wider comments, it's not so convenient. But alas, Rabbeinu Bachya explains 7 represents we have lots. Sorry, excuse me. We have lots of appearances of the number 7. This is kind of like surface level, like I don't know, like right under the water of the iceberg is the number 7. I'm sure you've heard about how it's like a number that represents completion. 7 days of creation, 7-year cycles in the calendar. The Mishkan is very obviously talking about this construction of divinity on earth. And so it has the number 7 a whole lot. 7 days Moses erected and dismantled the Mishkan during its inauguration. The 7 times that the phrase "as the Lord commanded" appears in chapter 39. Again, it's the repetition. The repetition of phrases in the text is a subject of great interest to commentarians. They will look at how often something is repeated and the proximity of when it's repeated to determine the importance of that thing, and that's how you get that's how you get the emphasis of certain subjects down the line. And certain laws. I know that's the product of several. They're not coming to me now. Specific examples of several orthodox interpretations of the law that are stricter because in the text they were said several times. And there are lots of parallels as well to the story of creation. Some linguistic parallels. Genesis we have "and God finished." Exodus we have "and Moses finished." Genesis, all his work that he created, all the work, and God blessed, and Moses blessed, and it was evening and morning, 7 times as the Lord commanded. I'm not sure what this article's on about with that one. Those seem very separate, but I don't speak the biblical Hebrew, so maybe there's a closer relationship than I'm seeing. Ramban concludes, the tabernacle is a microcosm of creation. Just as God created the universe as his dwelling place, Israel creates the Mishkan as God's dwelling place amongst them. The ultimate purpose of creation is revealed, that God desires to dwell with humanity in a relationship of love and service. This is where we get more of a benevolent God. Certainly the overt involvement, the overt miracles decline after this point in Exodus, though there's still, of course, plenty of them, walls of Jericho and whatnot. And excuse me, a comment about, yes, meat and milk. Thank you. Oh, meat and milk. It's, yeah, that's the one. And that's the one I always talk about. I'm so ridiculous for missing that. But, I got shrimp emoji'd. What a tragedy. I need to click into this chat more in the future. I guess it wasn't that active, this stream. But the conclusion... the message of the whole thing. Firstly, great big message of repentance, as are several things in the Torah. There is, it's the point of Jesus, right, is being a conduit for repentance, and you'll often hear Jews say, "Well, we had that already," and that's a whole discussion in and of itself. But this is sort of one of the prime examples that repentance happens plenty in the Tanakh. Of course, there's Yom Kippur, and that's its entire purpose. But the whole thing is rife with repentance, and this is one of those points with the golden calf. Repenting for the golden calf and in tremendous quantities as well. So many quantities that God has to say, stop, halt, that's done, that's all, that's over. And then he gets one of the names of God being he who tells his creation to stop, which is still getting me. There is like a distinction as well with sort of the diversity of skill and specialization. We get a lot of groups shouted out, called out for their special skills, their special contributions, their special faithfulness in building the tabernacle. And of course, it culminates with the placing of God's presence on earth, with the actual construction of the tabernacle, the construction of the Holy of Holies, its inauguration, and the creation of the Ark of the Covenant, which is the ultimate closing point of the book of Exodus. And that is what and that is what brings us into the future of the Jewish people after this point, is that now there is a divine presence on earth, there is the portable Sinai, and with it they can carry forward into the promised land and have victory over their enemies there, and settle, and the whole rest of the Tanakh can happen. And that concludes the Parsha. Again, the Parshat. Again, unfortunately, I couldn't go through all the interesting commentary that's offered with this because it's quite long. But that is what I have time for. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I hope this was enlightening. I hope this was enjoyable. And I know for the future, I'm looking at this being more produced. There are some cute little animations in the works. Maybe I'll be a